one, and very glad they brought back Aaron Jones. Entertaining player, great guy, great locker room guy. He makes a lot of sense. But here's the thing. The Vikings make that move, and I think it's a good move. And it gets absolutely buried by all the other crazy stuff going on in the NFL. It's amazing what this league does. The king of the offseason. Let's get to all the moves here and all the potential moves here on the Viking Update Show. He's John Krawczynski from The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. We'll get into all the possibilities here. The Viking Update Show is presented to you by Giggly THC Beverages and Onyx Hunt. And we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. Also want to let you know, don't miss the first ever Talk North Sports Report live show on Wednesday, March 26th at Parlay Kitchen and Bar in downtown Minneapolis. Join Mark Rosen as he sits down with John Krawczynski, Lavelle E. Neal III, me, and Michael Russo for an all-star conversation about everything in Minnesota sports. Show kicks off at 7 p.m., so come for the inside, stay for the amazing food and the upscale sports bar vibe at Parlay Kitchen and Bar. They've redone the whole, they've redone the whole area underneath the rooftop, the famous rooftop at Union. And it's really cool. It's really comfortable. Come out and check it out. Talk North Sports Report is presented by Giggly THC Drinks, offering bold flavors, real fruit juice, and low-calorie options. The perfect drink for your next game night. We will see you there. So I guess I should just first get your reaction to the Aaron Jones move, because I've already offered mine.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it makes a lot of sense. You and I had been talking about what they do at running back for a couple of weeks now leading into this, and everything that Aaron Jones did for this team in the locker room, on the field last year was terrific. I think it came down to a couple of things. One is, and first and foremost is, we talked about how I think they undervalued the running back position a couple of years ago, and when they went into the season with Alexander Mattison as their featured back, and just felt like, we can make this work. It's fine. We don't really need that. They found out that they needed some dynamic element at that position. Jones gives that to them. He gets a 2-year deal. I haven't seen all the specifics on it. I think it's $13 million guaranteed. Yep. And so we'll see kind of what that all means for the second year of that deal. But having him back next year, and maybe you still draft a running back. Maybe you stay with Ty Chandler or a younger back. But so I think that the Vikings can still look at some of their options for the long term with what they do behind Aaron Jones. But the bottom line is that they needed someone who they could count on and who is going to be reliable for at least next season. And I think Aaron Jones will do that. He's got to stay healthy. But when you look at just the fit in what Kevin O'Connell likes to do offensively with what Aaron Jones does best on the field, it's really a great match. And so I like the move. I think it will definitely kind of, serve as some sort of bridge to whoever their running back of the future is. And I still think that he has a lot left in the tank, that he can be an effective and impactful player for at least another season.
I agree. And I always thought they were going to re-sign him. It sounds like a $20 million deal, $13 million guaranteed. As you said, the structure means everything. And the Vikings are very good at structuring these deals in a way that makes the salary cap work. To me, the question was always, who's the number 2 back, and is he on the roster? Is Cam Akers good enough to be number 2 back? I think Ty Chandler kind of played himself out of that last year. You keep him around because he's young and cheap, but I think his promise is diminished. Do you think Cam Akers can be your number 2, or do they need to go get somebody?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, you're right. I would probably say that Ty Chandler did not make the most of his opportunity last year, and so Cam Akers is another one where I really like him. And I think he's a really solid backup veteran running back. But I think that if we forecast this, let's say 2 years down the road even, but maybe even one after next season, is the starting running back for 2026 season on the roster right now. Maybe it is Aaron Jones. Maybe that 2-year deal does become a true 2-year deal and he's still there. But I would think more likely, if it's not Aaron Jones, I think it's someone else. And so, whether that's drafting a running back this year or next year, or kind of looking at that, I don't think that they have their next starting running back on the roster right now, but I think it is a position that they can address either, in the draft this year, or maybe wait until their picks are a little more replenished next season and try again, because you can put a rookie into that spot, and without, having to worry too much about learning curve and all of those things. So, my inclination is, Jim, that, they eventually will bring in some younger running back, whether it's this year or next year, and he will take that mantle or that torch from Aaron Jones.
No doubt. So we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios.
Scott for Aquarius Home Services, your independent authorized Kinetico dealer, bringing some spring magic to your water. Need a clear fix for your cloudy water? Ready to ditch dry, itchy skin, ugly rust stains, and spotty dishes that look like they lost a snowball fight? Schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com to learn how you can enjoy worry-free water and save up to 25% on a Kinetico whole home system. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Presented to you by Giggly THC Beverages and Onyx Hunt. I just want to let you know, I've been drinking the Giggly stuff. It tastes great. Some really cool, unusual flavors. It just tastes like a nice cocktail or punch. And you wake up with no hangover. It helps me sleep. And we're talking about real fruit juice, all natural, few ingredients, great taste, a little carbonation, pour it over ice, and you have a lot of stuff. And you can get the 10 milligram, THC, which has a little kick to it, or you can get the 5 milligram, like the citrus seltzer. It's just kind of a nice, gentle thing to sip on as you're watching TV or hanging out at night. I'm really enjoying it. So check out Giggly THC Beverages. Promo code is Giggly North, Gigli North, if you want a 50% off your first order. Also want to let you know, ice fishing is still here, and it's time to hit the frozen water with Onyx Fish. The Fish app is the most comprehensive fishing tool for increasing your confidence on ice. Use Onyx Fish to find new places to fish and sort lakes by species, abundance, trophy, and keeper potentials. Onyx Fish also shows you hot spots, lake by lake regulations, and private and public land ownership information. For a limited time, download Onyx Fish for free in Minnesota and Wisconsin, or go to onyxmaps.com/fish. You get more information on the app that is changing the game on ice. All right, let's get to some other stuff here. Where do you think, we're talking here, by the way, on Monday morning. Anything could happen at any time in this market, but where, as we're talking now, do you think Sam Darnold lands?
Yeah, I mean, Jim, it seemed like everything was shaping up for Seattle to be the team that takes him. And I do think if I had to bet, I would guess that is still where it goes. But Diana Rossini, my colleague at The Athletic, reported that Pittsburgh is going to make a run at Sam Darnold, and at least going to try and have a conversation and have, maybe even extend an offer to him. They just traded for DK Metcalf, so they're kind of certainly in the win now mode. And Sam Darnold's the best free agent quarterback available for them, for any team. So it makes sense to me that the Steelers would target and would go after him. And this is kind of always what I anticipated happening, Jim, is that, I saw all of this analysis from the national media. Well, where's the market for Sam Darnold? What's going to happen here? Why, he could end up back on the Vikings. I never thought that was feasible.
Nope.
He is clearly the best quarterback available by a long stretch, and there are many teams that need quarterbacks, so why wouldn't one of them go get him? And now at least it looks like at least two are heavily in the mix here. I would say that Seattle seems to make the most sense, but I think he's going to have multiple opportunities to weigh what's out there and go make the right choice for him. But he's going to get a good deal. And it's going to, there are teams that are going to be knocking on his door, shockingly.
I think it'll be Seattle or Pittsburgh. The really interesting variable here is, there are rumors about Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh. I wouldn't want anything to do with Aaron Rodgers, but there seems to be the implication is that Tomlin and Rodgers have some kind of a mutual respect or kind of an affection from afar for each other's games. I don't want Aaron Rodgers at all, but God, that would be fascinating. If you have DK Metcalf and Pickens and a new running back and a team that's already good on defense, that's already well coached, I I wouldn't bet $5 on Aaron Rodgers winning anything, but it would be a pretty good situation. Of course, now I have to remind myself and everybody else, it looked like it was a good situation with the Jets. Number one receiver, excellent running backs, talented roster, good defense, and he did nothing with it.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I still don't think, Jim, that we have given Mike Tomlin enough credit for what he did with Antonio Brown for as long as he had him. Like, Brown was an ultra productive wide receiver for a very long time with the Pittsburgh Steelers and did not have near the volatility that he had post Steelers. Now, maybe there was some traumatic head injury that he suffered and that was the beginning of the end and went down the hill or whatever. But, I do think that Tomlin is a coach that has a reputation for working with challenging personalities. And it's not just Brown. Pickens is not an easy camper. He's had plenty of guys come through Pittsburgh along the way. So my guess would be that Mike Tomlin has a confidence in himself that, hey, I can figure this out. I can reach Aaron Rodgers, man to man, and we can connect and make this work. He made it work with Russell Wilson, who hasn't always been the easiest to work with as well. And so, Rodgers is certainly his own animal in terms of all of the things that he brings to the table. But Tomlin is a coach who's been in Pittsburgh forever. He's won a lot. He is well thought of. He has a lot of gravitas to him. And so if there was a scenario where it would work, I think that is the scenario where it would. But yeah, would I throw any faith behind it? I wouldn't. But I do think that is the one place where Aaron Rodgers could go that would make me think, well, maybe this is salvageable in some way, shape, or form.
I think he'd also get killed by the pass rushers in that division at his age. So
of course,
that's another pause. Yeah. So I'm not pro that move. It's just, as you said, it's one of the more intriguing ones. Now, listen, let's face it. The Vikings want to win a Super Bowl. I know it sounds silly just to say that as if it's not obvious. Everyone wants to win a Super Bowl. But what I mean is when you talk to people in the Vikings organization, they don't want more division titles. They don't want more, one and out in the playoffs. They feel dedicated. That group of leaders over there, they want to win, of course, for themselves. They also want to win for all the players and employees who worked in that organization who just want that capstone. They want that achievement. And, now you see Davante Adams going to the Rams. Not only the Eagles a big roadblock, the Rams are a big roadblock. By the end of the last season, the Rams are one of the best 3-4 teams in football. Now they're adding Davante Adams. They are a little scary.
They are scary for sure. Let me ask you this, Jim. Do you think is at this stage of his career, is Davante Adams a significant upgrade over Cooper Kupp? Because he got a lot of money, Davante did, to go to the Rams. I just wonder what Cooper Kupp's market is and why they moved off of him versus Adams. But either way, it's a good pivot, but, and they will be loaded. But I wonder what the difference, I wonder how much of a difference, if any, it is to have Adams over Kupp in that spot.
I think it's a big difference. I think Kupp really fell off and started showing. I mean, one of the problems with Kupp is he's not a big guy. He is a little guy. And they used him, not only was he catching 110 balls, they're also using him on reverses. They wore him down. I think it was almost a cynical move by Sean McVay. Hey, I got this guy. He's great right now. I don't know what his staying power is. We're just going to use him up. And they did. He's just a beat up guy. He never had a ton of speed. He was just kind of savvy. I think he's lost half a step and he didn't have half a step to lose. And he's not very big. So listen, would any team want him as like a third receiver or a slot receiver or maybe a second receiver if the number one guy's great? Yeah, under the right circumstance, you might. But I think Davante Adams is still that guy. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he makes great catches. And I think with a good quarterback, he will reassert himself.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Yeah, I think you're probably right on that. Yeah, but I mean, you look at the Rams. I mean, even if you want to go even in the division with Ben Johnson, I imagine he's going to be an upgrade over.
He's got to be
over their previous coaching staff. Like, I do think the road that the Vikings are going to face in the NFC is going to be more challenging this season coming up than it was this last season. So, I do think that puts even more of an onus on them to hit things right in free agency, as they have done in Kwesi, and also to get a player or two with their few picks that they have in the draft, and kind of continue to beef up their talent level all around, because teams are going to get better in the NFC, and it's not going to slow down at all. And if, like you said, which I totally agree with, that the Vikings are kind of sort of pivoting their ambitions. We've always heard the Wilfs talk. Ziggy loves to talk about winning the division. But I agree with you that the sense that you get from the organization is, okay, we've had a couple of seasons in the last 3 where we've won a lot of regular season games, and we've been in that mix, but now it's time to really even press higher. And so if you're going to do that, it requires a big off season, both in free agency and in the draft.
So again, 7 p.m., March 26th at Parley Kitchen and Bar, downtown Minneapolis. Join the crew for Talk North Sports Report live show starring Mark Rosen, who's a new addition to TalkNorth.com. We're really thrilled to have Mark joining us. He's the best at what he does, and we're going to have a lot of fun with him. We'll tell you more about our plans with Mark at a date not that far in the future. But if you come out and see us, I will be wearing twill, because that's what I wear anytime I want to be presentable. I wear twill. I wear their suits. I wear their golf stuff. I wear their casual stuff. I wear their cashmere sweaters. I wear the nice dress pants. I wear the casual dress pants. I wear their jeans. I wear their slacks. It's a reference to Russo and Russo's slacks, of course. So I highly recommend going to Twill and getting outfitted yourself. They've had a sale on spring stuff lately. I highly recommend their Peter Millar golf shirts. Right now I'm wearing a Johnny O golf shirt and a Peter Millar pullover. They just have great stuff. Go to Twill in the Edina Galleria, Twill by Scott Dayton in the Edina Galleria. Go to twillmn.com to check out all the different brands they have. And remember, Scott picks all those brands himself. He goes around the world looking for the best products, and it's all curated stuff. Go in, tell him we sent you, and you'll have a good time. Talk some sports with Scott, too. He's a great guy. He's laid back. Also, now I want you to hear from Michael Russo, our colleague at TalkNorth.com, for Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
All right. So I still think they're going to get Byron Murphy done. They have signed, since we last talked, they signed Theo Jackson, and the Theo Jackson deal is really intriguing because it's kind of the same deal they signed Josh Metellus to when they started identifying him as somebody who wasn't just a special teamer, was going to be somebody they wanted on the field a lot. It feels like Theo Jackson's going to be a starting safety, and now we wait to see what Harrison Smith decides and whether they want to bring Cam Bynum back under any circumstances. My guess is if Harrison Smith is back, Cam Bynum is not.
I would assume, Jim, that the coaching staff, do you think, I think they would hope that Harrison Smith comes back for one more year.
I think so.
And they would prefer that over Bynum.
Yeah.
But I do think that, if Harrison decides to retire, it feels like, re-signing Bynum and then having two guys who have vast experience in Brian Flores' system, the way that he likes to move people around on the back end is valuable. And so we're looking at a one or the other type of proposition was what it feels like right now. And I just wonder when Harrison Smith is going to make that decision.
Yeah, I don't know. I certainly don't think he's going to hold up the Vikings or interfere with their plans. I would think he's had enough time to recover since the end of the season. My guess is I wouldn't be surprised we hear something fairly soon.
I would think so, right? Because, the Vikings would have to move forward. If Harrison says, I'm hanging it up, I'm retiring, that probably changes some of the Vikings approach in free agency and what they have to do. And whether it is Bynum or, does it change their draft approach and do they have to look at another safety or something like that? I don't know, but, I think clearly, the Theo Jackson signing was an insurance policy on what's going to happen here. So, they definitely have one guy in that they feel good about, that they like. And then I would think that they have pretty strong indications one way or the other with Smith right now. And they will use that to make their decision on what they do at that spot. And because if not, they have to go, they probably have to get something done with Bynum, sooner than later and avoid losing him to another team.
So the question I always get asked, because it's the obvious, easy question, and it would be fascinating, and it melds well with the franchise history, is any chance the Vikings sign Aaron Rodgers? I've said there's 0% chance, but I'm interested in your view.
Yeah, I just the whole coverage of the Vikings quarterback situation nationally,
it's so
not
wrong.
Locally.
It's wrong.
It's so wrong.
It's so wrong.
Doesn't it feel that
it's
way?
So wrong. For so long, all the national talking heads were like, well, of course they're going to bring Sam Darnold back. They were never going to bring Sam Darnold back. I knew at halftime of the Rams playoff game, Sam Darnold was not coming back under any circumstances. I don't know why. I don't know. It's weird because here's the thing. A lot of the national talking heads and national reporters, you can understand how they could get fooled by disinformation, by a team putting out stuff that they want to fool. I don't think the Vikings are putting any disinformation out. They just haven't.
Right.
All the Vikings haven't done is come out and publicly say, we don't want Sam Darnold, because they would never do that.
Yes. And Kevin O'Connell has almost done that.
He's done
twice.
He's done it the way Kevin O'Connell does it, which is he gives you the language that allows you to see what they're doing if you know how to pay attention. The national people don't know how to pay attention.
It's baffled me because, yes, number one, that one is okay, well, they're not going to bring Darnold back, especially because you and I both agree that they feel very in on JJ McCarthy, that this is their guy, that they loved what they saw from him last, off season and in training camp before he got hurt. They have every reason to believe he's going to be fully healthy. They think that he's going to be a good player for them. But first of all, so if that's your belief, you don't bring back a guy who is literally almost an MVP for a long time, because a large part of last season, because the minute McCarthy struggles, Sam Darnold's done this. He's had a huge success in this offense. So is there more pressure on him that way? So it just made zero sense that Darnold would come back and that, there's no market for him. And, it looks like he's going to come back to the Vikings. That made no sense. And now the whole Aaron Rodgers thing is just baffling to me.
It makes no sense.
Absolutely. Why would you bring him in to this mix. And again, with a young quarterback and, you know, and just go that way, it just makes absolutely no sense to bring a guy that polarizing, into this thing who is not going to be, you know, putting JJ McCarthy under his wing. It's going to be trying to preserve his own legacy or like claw back some modicum of success and respect that he's lost over these last couple of years. And so just like this notion that the Vikings were a possibility, I don't get it. And I agree with you. I don't think this is Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, like, using the puppet strings behind the scenes. Maybe it's the agents of these players just trying to use the Vikings to drum up, you know, a market for their own clients or something. But, like I looked at some of those things, and it's, you know, I understand that there is, you know, there are falsehoods or there are, you know, there's, you know, faulty information that's out there all the time in reporting, but rare has been the occasion where it's been, well, there's absolutely no way. Like, what are you even thinking?
Yeah.
Like that, and that's what this feels like to me. It's just odd. It's just odd.
It's bonkers. And the funny thing is, Darnold and Rodgers are both not going to be with the Vikings, as different as they are, as different as their careers are. They're not going to be with the Vikings for the same reason, because it would be really awkward if one of those guys ends up starting the season and they're 4-0, and you want to go to McCarthy in October,
right? And
the starting quarterback's 4-0 and has the locker room behind him. That's a problem. Sam Darnold, not only, you know, if you bring back Sam Darnold and he starts the season and he's winning, how do you change out of it? I mean, it makes no sense at all. You want a true bridge quarterback. Daniel Jones is perfect for that. I don't know if they're going to be able to land down Daniel Jones, but that's what they want. Yeah,
exactly. And with Darnold, especially with you know, how young he is, like, he's not a bridge quarterback anymore. Like, even with his struggles last year, end of the season and in the playoffs, I think that he has earned the right to be a starting quarterback. Like, I like what if Seattle ends up with him, I like it. Like, okay, you moved off Geno Smith. You are going to give Darnold some sort of deal that will probably set him up to be the quarterback there for several years. And that makes sense. Pittsburgh makes sense. It does not make sense to have Darnold here as the one more year quarterback. And the other part with Darnold is, even if he does get off to that great start, Jim, you're still always wondering, okay,
yep,
what's going to happen late in the season when you really need him? Is that going to be, you know, is that going to work out? And so, and with Rodgers, at least you could say, all right, this is a 1-year deal. Come on in, be the guy, and go forward. But, everything needs to be done. You've invested you invested the draft capital in JJ McCarthy. Everything needs to be done to foster an environment around him that is conducive to developing him into your franchise quarterback. And neither Sam Darnold in the same room or Aaron Rodgers in the same room does that. And yeah, it's a Daniel Jones. Even if you miss out on Daniel Jones and even if it has to be a Nick Mullins type, do I like it? I don't love it, but it's certainly a more nurturing environment than either a Darnold or Rodgers kind of a situation. And so take all that money, spend it on the offensive line, spend it on upgrading the defense, and hopefully you get Daniel Jones or, you know, or a suitable kind of quarterback who's not going to rock the boat. Darnold and Rodgers would both rock it way too much, and it just, you know, it doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. And Nick Mullins is, if they can't get Daniel Jones and they had to stay in house, Nick Mullins would obviously be the starter. I don't think they like that option, but
no.
But they would rather have Nick Mullins. Here's the crazy thing. Let's put it in perspective. They would rather have Nick Mullins than Aaron Rodgers or Sam Darnold.
Yes. Yeah, and it makes sense. Like, it does. Like, I understand why. And maybe it, you know, and it could be like, my blind spot could be like, I am a very big McCarthy guy. I was a big McCarthy guy in the draft. I liked what I saw from him before he got hurt. And so maybe I'm just too much in that camp, and maybe I'm not seeing that, well, maybe he won't be ready at the start of next season, or, maybe he gets hurt again, or, things like that are possible. But I just think that, I'm all in on him. And so if that's the case and that's what you're going to be, just go ahead and be all in. I cannot see a scenario where that all works out. I think Daniel Jones would work out beautifully. Like that would be just fine. But anything like above and beyond Daniel Jones in terms of pedigree or accomplishment or whatever is an unnecessary complicating of this quarterback room, and you just don't need to touch it.
Exactly. Reminder, 7 p.m. March 26th, Parlay Kitchen and Bar in downtown Minneapolis, underneath the Union Rooftop. Beautiful space. Mark Rosen, John Krawczynski, Lavelle Neal, Michael Russo, and yeah, me too. We're going to be there talking sports. It's going to be a blast. Come out, check out the joint, check out the great food. We look forward to seeing you. And thanks for supporting TalkNorth.com. We're getting to add Mark Rosen is a really big deal for our network. Having people like John Krawczynski and Michael Russo, as we have had for so long, has been a big deal. Now we're going to bring it all together and do a live show. We're really looking forward to it. We hope to see you there.